Hello guys, and welcome to the newest iteration of the Druid Magicka Warden build. If you guys don't know what this build is, this is a really high damage Magicka Warden build. It's got insane amounts of AoE and single target burst, as you can see right there, really snappy kill. And it's quite survivable. It has quite a lot of sustain. I'd say it's a very good build. I would go as far to say that it is almost as strong, if not on par, with a Magicka Sorcerer for PvP. Absolutely incredible in PvP. So what I've done on this build versus the old build is that I've switched out, as you can see, the Restoration Staff for a two-handed weapon. I've also gone Vampirism and favored a lot more high regen than I did in the past Druid iteration. So let's take a look at the build and jump right into it. So as you can see here, just looking at my stat page at a glance, you can see that they are all much better than the other build, just on my max stat especially. This is due to the fact that I actually got my 9 Undaunted. So I finished getting my Undaunted on my Warden, so now my max stats are much higher than in the last build video I did. You can see that my regen is way higher than it used to be. And then we've also gone Vampirism, the huge loss of the health recovery here as well. So we're going to talk about why we made these decisions, and we'll get more into it. So as you can see here, we are a stage 4 vampire. This is important for this build. Undeath is going to be very good for especially the shield-based defense that we use. And then of course, we've switched the mage to the Atronach Mundus. And the reason I've gone with the Atronach Mundus is because we are no longer running a Resto Staff on our offhand bar. So we're doing Destro 2H now on the Magicka Warden. Anyhow, so looking at the max magicka, as you can see, fully buffed here, 52.7k max magicka. So we have a lot of magicka on this build still. So we're gonna have very powerful damage shields. 2,380 spell damage buffed. We no longer have the infused off weapon. We're actually going to be using vulnerability potions, or we're going to change up the enchants on our staves. So there you go. And our spell crit's sitting again at around 42%. Not bad. Our physical and spell resistances are very low and almost no critical resistance. This is a damage shield based build. We do not need a lot of physical spell or crit resist for the build. And then finally, guys, the food that we're using is still Witchmother's Potent Brew. And for the potions that I've been using with this build, there is the Tripots that I recommended in the first video for you guys. Absolutely fantastic for this build due to the fact that we have all our buffs covered already. But there's also a great other potion that I've been using for the build, Essence of Immovability. Become immune to knockback and disabling effects, increase your stealth detection by 20 meters, and those are both for 14 seconds. I think it goes up to 17 once you get your last alchemy passive, and then you restore magicka. And it also gives you the major intellect, increasing your magicka recovery by 20%. So these are really good pots for this build because it just makes you an absolute hell for Nightblades to fight. They can't fear you, they can't stun you reliably, and you can see them in stealth. If you use this potion and then pop Mage Light, you get like 20 meters, or sorry, you get 25 meters of stealth detection around you. That is a massive stealth detection bubble. So there you have it, guys. I've been absolutely loving these pots with this build as well. You can run a mix of the Tripots and these, or just one of these two different potions if you want, but both of them work really, really well for the build. Okay, so let's take a look at the gear that we're using. Nothing has been changed up too terribly much in gear. We're still running 5 Shacklebreaker and 5 Necropotents. I've managed to upgrade a bit of my stuff to gold now. I have been playing this build a lot, so I decided I would upgrade it. We're still doing the 3 well-fitted here. I've got the Infused Infernal Guardian. You pull it. I would highly recommend you go 4 well-fitted on your little pieces and then infused on the big pieces. Everything should be enchanted with Max Magicka, as that is the focus of this build. And then finally, the Infernal Guardian is just the one piece here. So you can use Ilambris, Infernal Guardian, or Grothdar here. And they all work great because they give you that one piece max magicka. So for our necklace and rings, guys, they are all enchanted with the spell damage. As you can see here, they're all arcane as well, being Necropotent's jewelry. And then finally for the weapons, we've got our main hand Shacklebreaker Inferno Staff as before, and this is enchanted with an Oblivion damage enchant. Now, you can use the Oblivion damage enchant if you want, or you can use Vulnerability Poisons. Now, Vulnerability Poisons are great with the Destro Staff because they'll proc off your Crushing Shock. So you can actually reliably get them to proc on a Destro Staff if you're using Crushing Shock or Force Pulse. Now, I've only got a few left here. I haven't really been using them due to the fact that I kind of ran out. It's a little bit more expensive expensive to run the vulnerability poisons than it is to use an enchant, so it's really up to you. For the greatsword, I've actually gone with Nirnhoned on the greatsword, and when we take a look at the greatsword bar, I'll talk to you guys and I'll explain to you why we went Nirnhoned on it. There's no enchant on here right now. I would actually like to put an Oblivion chant on here as well, but if you don't have the Oblivion chant, that's okay. We can also use the vulnerability poisons on the greatsword bar as well. Okay, so let's take a rundown at the skills, guys. We're going to go over our first bar, the Destruction Staff bar. This one is the same from before. I haven't changed anything except Force Pulse to Crushing Shock. Now, with Force Pulse and Crushing Shock, it's really up to you which morph you want to use. Force Pulse does quite a bit more damage. This is a high damage dealing build, so Force Pulse actually has over, I think it's around 1k more damage on its tooltip compared to Crushing Shock, so it's quite a bit of a damage increase. Now, Crushing Shock, of course, is going to give you that interrupt if someone's casting. And that interrupt is really powerful because that interrupt will also increase the amount of damage you do because you'll set the opponent off balance, meaning that they will take more damage from your next incoming attack. So it's really up to you which morph you want to go for here. I think for PvP, Crushing Shock is very valuable, but if you really want to have the highest burst damage you can, Force Pulse is the option that will give you that. The next ability we have is Screaming Cliff Racer. This, of course, is going to be our combination attack skill, so we're going to use Screaming Cliff Racer into the Force Pulse to get those attacks to land at the same time as our target, due to the fact that this move has a bit of a delay on it. So, I absolutely love the combination damage off this ability. Hits very, very hard as well. We have Dampen Magic as our next ability here. Now, Dampen Magic being a very important ability for this build. Like I said, we've got that 52, almost 53k Magicka pool. Dampen Magic is going to be our primary defense on this build, mixed in with our Leeching Vines on our Greatsword bar, which will heal us as we take the damage. So there you have it. Dampen Magic, absolute must for this build. If we look at the next ability, we've got Inner Light here. This is here to give us that 5% max Magicka bonus, 2% again for being a Mage's Guild skill, and then of course this is going to give us that passive Major Prophecy while it's slotted. Inner Light's also going to be a great bit of stealth detection, and stealth detection's invaluable for PvP. Then finally, the last normal ability we have is Deep Fissure on the bar here, and this is the build's primary stun. It's actually the only stun we run on this build. It can be a little tricky to line up, but this is an incredibly high damage dealing AoE attack, and I absolutely love it for the Warden. You can add some serious bomb potential with this ability on your Warden, and it has a 3-second duration. So the way that this ability works is you'll normally cast Deep Fissure, and then you'll Screaming Cliff Racer, and then Force Pulse or Crushing Shock. And if you do it correctly, they should all three land at about the same time on your target, giving you a huge amount of burst damage with this build. And then finally, guys, for our ultimate, we have Northern Storm. Now, this is slotted. Number one, we chose Northern Storm because we get that 8% max Magicka bonus. That's going to make our damage shields bigger, and it's going to make our burst combos hit harder, so it's very, very good. And then finally, Northern Storm is a really powerful ultimate in itself. It deals quite a bit of damage, about 30% less damage than the Destruction Staff ultimates. However, it gives you Major Protection, which will reduce the incoming damage you take by 30%. It'll also snare every enemy you hit by 70% as well. So it's a very powerful AoE snare, and it functions just like Eye of the Storm, so it sticks on top of you while you use it. This is one of my favorite ults. It also gives you the Major Protection to all allies inside your ultimate field, so you can really protect a group of fellow players by using this ultimate at the right time as well. Okay, so let's take a look at that Greatsword bar. This is the bar that we've switched up since the last build. The first ability we have on the Greatsword bar is Enchanted Growth. So as you can see here, Enchanted Growth is going to be our burst heal for this build. Whenever we get very low on hit points, we need that bursty big heal. Enchanted Growth is going to deliver. We got a whopping 9k tooltip on an unbuffed Enchanted Growth without Major Mending. With Major Mending and fully buffed, my tooltip on this thing goes up to 13k. So it's a very powerful heal. It's also an AoE heal. It'll heal all allies, including yourself, when you cast it. You just have to aim it. The big thing about Enchanted Growth, too, is it also gives us minor intellect and minor endurance, which will increase our Magicka and stamina recovery by 10%. Now, we've also gone Vampire on this build, like I mentioned earlier. So this 10% to both our Magicka and stamina recovery pairs really well with Supernatural Recovery from our Vampirism. Now, Supernatural Recovery is going to be great because it'll give us another 10% Magicka stamina recovery. So the recovery bonuses on this build compared to the old one are much, much better. And it's just because I kind of set this build up for more of a vampirism approach to it. And 20% bonus to your Magicka and stamina recovery. Absolutely insane. So very, very high recovery stats there. The next ability we have is Blue Betty. Now this is a fantastic ability. It's going to give you some Magicka over 25 seconds. It's the equivalent of around 300 Magicka recovery, so not bad at all. It is totally free to cast. It is also going to provide us with major sorcery, increasing our spell damage by 20%. And finally, when you activate it, it's going to remove one negative effect. Now, it's not a lot of negative effect removals, but it is free, so you can spam it as much as you want, and you'll be able to remove those negative effects from yourself. So this is a very, very good ability for the Warden. I quite enjoy using Blue Betty, and I really like it. I like how the negative effect removal functions too. You know, it's really great if you get siege dumped on you, and just siege, you can easily purge that siege off of you. But if you're getting attacked by a lot of things, you're a lot better going into your damage shield and leeching vines to stay alive instead of trying to purge things with your Betty. The next ability we have is Bird of Prey. Same as the last build. This is here to give us the Major Expedition. It's going to give us Major Endurance, increasing our stamina recovery, and it's going to give us Minor Berserk, increasing our damage done by 8%. And this is a 10-second buff. So it's a rather short duration buff, but it's a very, very powerful buff and very, very useful. Also, the wings look absolutely cool as hell. I mean, come on, guys. What is cooler than that? What is cooler than that? The next ability we have is Leeching Vines. Now, this is our mainstay heal for the build. This is by far, I think, the best heal that Warden has. This is a Magicka-only heal. You can't really use this on a stamina build because it scales off your max Magicka, but it is such a great heal, guys. Grow Vines to Embrace. You are the lowest health ally in front of you for 10 seconds. The Vines heal the target for 2,700 health each time they take damage every 1 second. They also apply Minor Lifesteal to enemies that damage the target for 10 seconds, healing you and your allies by 738 health every 1 second when you damage them. Very powerful ability. What it essentially does is it makes it so if you get attacked or you're attacking stuff, you're always healing yourself. And this works really well with damage shields because if you throw up a damage shield in Leeching Vines, as they break your damage shield, they're essentially going to heal back the health that they've taken away from you as well. So it's a very, very powerful heal. I really, really like how it synergizes with the damage shields. And last but not least, this gives you great access to your green balance passives, giving you major mending, etc., as well as returning resources every time that this heal heals you. So it's a great ability for your sustain all around as well. And then the last ability we have here is Crystallized Slab, the same as the old build, and I've got this here as the Reflect to absorb incoming projectiles, and of course each successful absorption will reflect back a projectile to the enemy, dealing 5k frost damage. Now that's quite a bit. There's 3 times that frost damage will be shot back at an opponent. So if I'm fighting, for example, a Nightblade, and they do a couple weaves on me with their bow, they will shoot back a 15k damage in 15k damage in total to themselves. So it's a very powerful Reflect in the sense that it returns quite a lot of damage, even if your opponent doesn't hit you very hard. And then finally, guys, the ultimate on our 2H bar, you could have guessed it, is Onslaught. And we've gone with Onslaught because it is the execute that this build does not have. Now, that's the one thing we were kind of missing here, is a powerful execute ability to kind of take down those tankier targets. And Onslaught is absolutely incredible for it, guys. Absolutely incredible. Onslaught, of course, is even though it's a stamina ultimate, it's going to scale off our max Magicka and spell damage due to the fact that we are a Magicka build. And the beauty of this ability is that it ignores the target's physical and spell resistance, and you gain the ignored amount for 8 seconds. So it's great because we don't have to worry about penetration when we use Onslaught at all. It's going to hit very, very hard and very reliably hard as well. Killing an enemy with this ability will immediately refund the cost. That's probably the best part about it. I am level 10 in my Alliance War, so I have my Alliance War passives, etc. If I get a kill with Onslaught, it puts me at 178 ultimate after getting a kill with it. So I can almost reliably sit at 100% ultimate for my Onslaught and almost 100% ultimate for Northern Storm while using Onslaught in a fight. Of course, I have to get that killing blow with it, but just a little bit of practice with this skill and you'll get very good at using it, and you'll really learn to utilize the killing blow with it. Okay, guys, and the last but not least, we're going to take a look at the champion points, just to take a peek at what I've kind of changed up to match with the way I'm playing the build now. So in our tower tree, we've got 13 Warlord and 2 in Sprinter. Warlord, of course, for that break-free sprinting for sprinting. Nothing in Bash. In our lover tree, we have 120 points total, 56 in Arcanist for that 12% Magicka recovery, and 32 in Mooncalf for that 8% stamina recovery. We have 32 in Tenacity as well for 8% return on our fully charged heavy attacks. So I made this tree fairly varied, of course, with the champion points being very front heavy. This is the best way, I think, to do this tree. And the important passive here is Wind Running. Now, this is a really good passive because not only does it give you a little bit of a movement speed bonus, but increase your health and Magicka recovery by 10% while sprinting. We have 4 well fitted on, and we can do quite a lot of sprinting on this build, so every time we sprint, we're actually going to be returning some Magicka, more Magicka than we'd normally get, so it's a very good passive to have for this build. And then finally in the Shadow Tree, I've got 56 in Tumbling and 8 in Shadow Ward to reduce the cost of block. Tumbling, that roll dodge, so important. We do a lot of rolls with this build. It's very good, very powerful. We've got the well fitted on. Great defense mechanism mixed in with the damage shield and leeching vines. And then finally, we do need to do a little bit of blocking in PvP, so I did invest a few points in here as well. And then 1 in Befoul because I had 1 extra point left over. Okay, so let's take a look at the blue tree. In the Apprentice, we've got 11 in Blessed, 11 Elfborn, 23 Elemental Expert, and 15 Spell Erosion. The important passive here, of course, being Spell Precision, giving us that 12% Spell Critical. And then, of course, we went heavily in Elemental Expert. That's going to increase all our outgoing damage. Spell Erosion's great, too. We put quite a few points in that. Elfborn, we aren't playing a huge crit build, so I only put a few points in Elfborn. And then finally, we only put a few points in Blessed because this is our offensive tree, and I didn't want to invest all of my champion points into healing for my offensive tree. And let's take a look at the Atronach. We've got 59 Staff Expert, 61 Master at Arms, 21% increased direct damage. Very, very powerful passive ability here. And then Staff Expert, of course, is going to increase the damage done with light and heavy attacks for your staves by 29%. So also a great passive to invest in here. And that's pretty much it. We didn't do any physical weapon expert because we're not going to be doing a lot of light and heavy attacks with our greatsword. If we do a heavy attack with the greatsword, it is only to return resources. It will not deal a lot of damage. So in the ritual tree, last but not least, we've got 2 in Thaum to increase our damage over time. This is, I just had some points left over for Thaum and Piercing, but the important one here is Mighty. 7% increase to our physical, poison, and disease damage. The reason that I actually invested into Mighty was just for the Greatsword Ultimate. On top of it, it's going to give us 12% bonus to our weapon critical damage too. So at the loss of a little bit of damage for my magical abilities, I upped the Greatsword damage by quite a lot and added 12% bonus crit to the Ultimate as well. So this is all to get that Greatsword to hit harder in this in the Ritual Tree. Okay, so let's take a look at the red tree. We're going to start off with the Steed, 61 in Ironclad to reduce the incoming damage that direct damage attacks deal to you. This is the direct counter to our Master at Arms passive here. And this is great because this affects your damage shields as well. This is going to be a really great way to mitigate that incoming direct damage. Usually in PvP, when you get hit by hard burst abilities, they are almost always single target and count as direct damage abilities. So this is the best way to invest your points to counter burst, I believe. We've got 3 in Resistant because I had a few points left over. Otherwise, it's not important. In the Lady, we've got 15 Hardy, 15 Elemental, and 18 Thick-Skinned. I invested a little bit more in Thick-Skinned due to the fact that we don't really have a very good purge for dots, and also Leeching Vines is going to be a very powerful ability for healing us, so Thick-Skinned is going to do work by making the dots less effective against us, allowing me to heal more with my Leeching Vines. And then, of course, this is just going to reduce our incoming damage. This also affects our damage shield, so it's good to put some points in here, definitely. And then in the Lord tree, we have got 5 in Expert Defender, 32 Quick Recovery for that 8% healing, and then 61 in Bastion for that 21% increased damage shield effectiveness. Your Dampen Magic is your most important defensive utility on this build, guys, and that is why we have so many points invested into Bastion. Okay guys, so now we're going to jump into some PvP commentary. So let's begin. We're at a resource here. I'm here with my good friend Mad Shadow Man, Deep Fissure, Screaming Cliff Racer, and there is the Onslaught we were talking about. That beautiful onslaught kill, guys. Absolutely fantastic. So much damage. I think it was 11k I hit him for there. And there's 2 other EP here, and they just kind of like kill the last blue guy. But don't worry, there's lots of blues coming to this resource. So we just continue to wait around a little bit here. I'm making sure to keep my buffs up. Got my wings, my pet, and my shield up at all times. That's just kind of a regular defensive measure for me. Anyway, this guy goes in the tower. We do the deep fissure into the Screaming Cliff Racer, force pulse, and then we pop a really quick onslaught roll dodge on him. Get a really beautiful greatsword kill off on that guy there. Just making that ult do work. And here you see the enemy player there goes for a really snappy Dawnbreaker, and he ends up taking down the other EP player. So now it's just me and Mad Shadow Man here, and we're just kind of fighting these DC off. We do have the guards, thank God. They're going to keep eclipses and a few negates every now and then. So we just kind of like hammer these guys down, making sure to keep my damage shield up at all times. That's a big, big #1 for this build. Keep that damage shield up as often as possible. The second you let the damage shield drop, you get in big trouble. Here you see I use the Enchanted Growth to save Mad Shadow Man from dying there. He takes a CC with low stamina, and I just pound the heals on him so he doesn't go down, and it works really well. We've got the other DC players. Now we're just kind of getting surrounded. We got a lot of DC coming to this resource. I get a Screaming Cliff Racer into Force Pulse off on that one player. Nice little takedown on him there. Matt is in a little bit of trouble, and look at, oh my gosh, now we've got 15 DC on us, just gets out of control. He takes a bad stun there and goes down, but he manages to kill one of the enemy players as he goes down there. They chase me inside the tower. I pop my ult, my Leeching Vines, and keep my damage shields up. Go right into my Deep Fissure to put some damage into the group. There you see a huge splat of damage. The ult did a great job of keeping me alive there, but in the end, it was ultimately too much pressure to take and end up going down. So let's move on to the next clip, guys. In this clip here, we are at a keep. I think it's Dragonclaw, and we're just about to break down the inner door, and lo and behold, from behind, here comes DC with a vengeance. So I'm here with 3 other EP players, and these guys just bomb the crap out of us. Now, thank God we noticed them right before they hit us, so we managed to actually make them spread a little bit. This is a really cool team comp, and you'll see a few clips of this team comp because it worked really well. This team comp, we've got a Blazing Shield Templar, a Bomb Build Nightblade, a Magicka Templar, and then a Magicka Warden. So we've got a really good combination of things in this group to fight large groups of enemies. And as you can see, we did push into them there and do quite a bit of damage. The Megblade managed to kill a couple guys with the bomb as he went in, but ultimately there are too many DC here and we do need to back up. So we just kind of like as a group move together, make sure to keep each other supported, etc. Here you see I get a really nice Purify roll dodge around the corner, protecting me from a lot of incoming damage. Once we reset at the top of this thing here, make sure we got our buffs up, Deep Fissure in it, and I'm just going to start laying Deep Fissures down on this staircase. Deep Fissure is such a powerful AoE ability, and it's going to stun one target as well. As long as I keep the Deep Fissures coming down on these guys, it's going to make it very hard for them to push up the stairs. Here you can see they've already lost 2 guys on the staircase here, and we're just pushing right into them. A couple other EP players have showed up here as well, so we're getting a little bit of help here. This guy goes for the Soul Assault, not really the best move, just a quick little combo to finish him off as he Soul Assaults our tank, and there you have it. Nice little push into these guys to wipe them on the stairs. Unfortunately, this keep is their blue keep, and they are repairing the door with some other guys. I actually get, I think, the interrupt off there with the Force Pulse before I even bash her. But they are repairing the door, so the keep is going to unflag, and we're going to have to deal with a lot of reinforcements coming in very quickly here. As you can see, the blues that are outside here are desperately trying to res. I have Crushing Shock equipped right now, so I'm doing my job right now just to make sure this guy can't pick anybody up. Just a quick little interrupt every now and then. He is very high ranked, so we'll have a pretty quick res on him, and we just don't want to let him res too many blues. It'll make the fight much harder than it needs to be. So here you can see as I turn around, at the top of my kind of like map bar there, you see that the keep is unflagged. So this means that all the blues are going to be coming right back out with a vengeance, and lo and behold, here they are with their vengeance. I get a stun from a Templar here. He goes into the Soul Assault right away. Maybe not the best move because I do have very strong damage shields. I respond with my ultimate going on top of him. I kind of expected the blues to jump on top of us here, but I was a little premature with the ultimate, and they ended up coming just after my ultimate comes down. So we're going to do the same deal here. We're going to try to back up the stairs. One of the guys on our team's yelling out to any other EP in the area, flag the keep if you can, but I'm pretty sure it's too late at this point. As you can see, a huge amount of DC collecting on the staircase. there. And now we've also got Siege coming down on us too. There's a really deadly negate. And I think this is what ends up killing our tank, is that negate. Yeah, there goes Vincenzo. And here comes the alt train. All of them have piled up. They are angry, and they're going to kill us. I get a quick peek behind this door, just dropping deep fissures on these guys, trying to give Aquino some support. But he ends up getting stuck outside the door, and he goes down too, and then it's just me and this big group of meanies. So I go into my ultimate pop here, trying to go for a deep fissure cliff racer pulse combo on that guy. I end up getting knocked off the edge by his javelin. And here you can see I get a little bit of damage into this guy here, but there's a lot of DC. They're just going to heal the crap out of each other, and I don't have the sustain to fight this many guys by myself. So there you go. We move on to the next clip, guys. So this is another group clip here. I got a lot of group footage with this build. If you guys want to watch more solo footage of this build, feel free to check out some of my 1vx videos that I've done. I used a lot of the group footage for the build video just because a lot of people are generally playing in groups. People don't necessarily play solo, so I thought the group footage would be really great for the build video. And here you can see we get a huge bomb on these guys. I'm just deep fissuring. Mad Shadow Man also on a Warden there using the deep fissure combo. He did a great job of luring this group of players on top of him, allowing us to throw a huge combo and just drop all of them in the middle there. I take quite a bit of pressure here. Unfortunately, Mad went down. He got hit by a pretty nasty negate, I believe. I'm just kind of like tanking these guys out. There you see the damage shield leeching vines really doing work. Those guys cannot even get through the shield. They just give up trying altogether. And then, yeah, we're just kind of left to fight these guys. A scrappy little fight against these AD to clean it up. They do have reinforcements continuing to come up this staircase here, so we got to make sure we stay on top of them there. They go for the Destro ult on top of the stack of dead AD bodies there. Now, this is a good idea for them because it's going to allow them to res the bodies. There's a huge deep fissure combo to bring that one guy down. Quick bash on this guy. Just drop the combo on the player that was recently resed because they won't be able to do much against it. Make sure that we capitalize on the fact that these guys got wiped early on. And there we have it. The last tank goes down, and that is the end of it. There's a couple more AD players, but they're just kind of like running around, getting away from here now. Alright guys, so for the last video here, this is going to be another little bit of a small group against large group situation. Here you see I just quickly burst down this guy, go for the Greatsword ultimate, and he's actually already dead, but my ultimate still fires off, and I end up just losing my ultimate altogether. That was rather unfortunate, but that's what you get when you play on Vivek, my friends. So, as you can see, I just do a little bit of peel back to the resource. Here comes the rest of AD, though. What is the rule with AD, guys? If there is one out of stealth, there is always a lot more in stealth nearby. So Mad Shadow Man goes into his ultimate here, just kind of tanking him out. I put some damage into this other player here with our Sork, and we drop the first Dragon Knight there. We're just kind of like making sure we pick our targets here. Mad Shadow Man gets absolutely jumped. Look at this. 5-6 players jump on top of him, 100 to 0. Oh my gosh, Mad Shadow Man, they absolutely love gangbanging that guy. Poor guy. So I do a little bit of a peel back here with the Sork, but we notice Sork gets a really good Crushing Shock interrupt off on that guy, and I hit him with the Deep Fissure, and we just nuke him down, quickly nuke down the other player there, and we're just left to push into the rest of these guys. I decide not to go for the misting guy. I know that he's just going to keep misting away. It's going to be hard to kill him. I get a really great Deep Fissure stun off on that guy, but then, oh, the Proc Blade and a Dragon Knight leap. Quickly respond with some damage shields, leeching vines, right back into the damage shields, peeling behind my friendly players here, and you see here that I managed to get all of the pressure off me altogether. Huge burst from Mad Shadow Man into that DK, and I just throw a little bit of damage on top of him to finish him off. The other two AD kind of end up running off here. I think there was another one that ran off the other way, but we end up just hunting a couple of them down. There's one of them that goes down up there by the Sork, and we finish off this last Nightblade with the Screamin' Cliff Racers of Justice. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up the build video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you liked this video, feel free to hit that like button and or subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I also stream on Twitch, guys, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you guys would like to catch me live and ask some questions, that is the best place to do it. Links, of course, to my Twitch channel are in the description of the video. As always, guys, have a great night, and thank you so much for watching.